Like while loop, for loop can also be used for iterating over a section of code as long as a condition is true, but the syntax of for loop is much more compact than that of while loop. We know that there are three things that controls the looping activity: the initialization of counter variable, the termination condition, and the modification of the counter variable. These three things are written in a compact way with the for loop. Let me just show you the syntax of for loop. Say we need to write a program that is supposed to print hello world for 10 times into the console. So we write in this way using the for loop. The initialization of the counter variable, the modification of the counter variable, and the termination condition all are written here at one place. We have created three sections using two semicolons here. The first section is called the initialization section. That means this is the initialization section where we usually write the initialization activity, something like initialization of the counter variable. When the control enters into the for loop for the first time, whatever we write here, that is executed. We may write more than one statement by separating them using the comma operator. I will show you that. So whatever we write at the initialization section, that is executed when the control enters into the for loop for the first time. Now immediately after executing the initialization section, the control jumps into the termination condition section. This is the termination condition, the second section. Now the termination condition is tested when the value of I is right now 1 less than equals to 10. So the condition is true, so the control enters into the loop body. So now whatever we write within the body is going to be executed. Now when the execution of the loop body completes, it comes back to the third section, that is the modifier section. So now the modifier section is executed. Whatever we write in the modifier section, that will be executed. We can write more than one statement separated with the comma operator. I will show you the example. Now in this example we have only one statement, I++, so the counter is incremented by 1, so the value of I is right now 1. So again, after executing this modifier section, it jumps to the termination condition section, and the termination condition is again tested. So 2 less than equals to 10 is true. Again the control comes inside the for body, and whatever the body contains, that is executed. Again on completion of the body, it gets back to the modifier section. Again the value of I is incremented to 3. Now it comes here and tests the condition 3 less than equals to 10, enters into the loop body. Again it gets back to the modifier. Again it tests the condition. Again it comes inside the body. In this way it iterates over and over. Now when the condition is false, then the control comes out of the loop. Let me just execute the program and show you the result. Here it is. It's printing hello world for 10 times. Okay. Now since this body of for loop is containing a single statement, we can omit this curly brace. That's not mandatory if the body is containing a single statement. It's mandatory only if the body is having multiple statements. Now in this initialization section or in that modification section of for loop, we can write more than one statement separated with comma operator. That means we can write something like this: printf here. Any valid C statement can be written here, and I'm writing something hi, and then here what I'm doing, I'm writing Dave. So it's valid. Now when the control enters into the for loop for the first time, whatever is written there in the initialization section, that means here, will be executed. Now comma operator is a left to right associative operator. That means this is going to be evaluated first. So the value of I is going to be 1. Then this will be printed, and the control never gets back to the initialization section later on. It is only executed once at the very beginning. So the high is going to be printed only once. Then the control jumps here and the condition is tested. The condition is true, 1 less than equals to 10. So it will print hello world entering into the body, and then it will go back here in the modification section. So here I++ will increase the value of I by 1, so I++ will make the value of I to 2. Then this dev is going to be printed. So hello world, then it prints dev. Then it actually comes here and tests the condition. So now the condition is true again, so it will enter into the loop and will print the hello world once more. Then again it will get back and increase the value of I by 1 with this I++. Then again it will print dev. It will go on doing this for 10 times because the iteration is going to be false when the value of I is 11. So here we go, we get output something like this of this program. You can see that it's hello world dev, and at the very beginning you can see that hi is printed only once. Let me just give you some more information on while loop. Now this is the initialization section, as I have already told you, and you know that by now. Now this is not necessary that we should write any statement here. It may happen that we are totally omitting this section. We can write the initialization outside of the for loop, and we just can left this initialization section blank. Now when the control enters into the for loop, if it sees that the section is blank, it won't do anything. It will straightforward go here and the condition will be tested. Similarly, instead of writing I++ here, we can just left this section blank, and I can just write this incrementation here at the end of the loop body. Now it doesn't actually have any difference. Writing I++ here or write the I++ here is having the same effect, because after completing the body, the control comes here. So if you are writing I++ at the end of the body, then the I++ will be done here at the end of the body, as we did in case of while loop. So you can omit the initialization section and modification section. That means these two sections can be left blank, no problem with that, and we can write in this way. But the semicolons must have to be given. You just cannot omit the semicolon like while loop. This is illegal. You cannot do that. You must write semicolons here. You may left the initialization and the modification section vacant, but the semicolons must be there, and this will work fine. I'm just compiling the program to show you that it is working fine. Okay, here is another example of for loop. This program prints the sum of first n natural numbers. We already did this program using while loop. Now this time I'm using for loop to find out the sum of first n natural numbers, where n is given by the user. Now you can see that I have already taken n using scanf. The for loop should start from 1, it should go up to n, and each time the value of I is going to be incremented by 1. So we need to add I with sum, and we need to assign the result to sum itself. So this is the for loop, but one more thing that we need to do here is to initialize sum with 0, because by default any variable declared within a function contains garbage value. If we don't initialize the variable sum, then the garbage value will be there in the variable sum. The variable I is going to be added with the garbage value for the very first time, so it's going to be inaccurate. So we need to initialize sum with 0. Now initialization of such kind can be written within the for loop as well. We can write this sum equals to 0 here. That makes sense. I've already told you that this can be done. We can write more than one statements here, separated with the comma operator. After completing the loop, what you need to do is to print the result. So sum of first %d natural numbers is %d. So n comma sum. So you can see that this %d is going to print n, and here we are going to print the sum, the result. Let me just execute this. Yes, it's perfect, and I'm giving 100. So it's working fine. I can modify the for loop a bit better. Now you can see that this is the body for the for loop. Instead of writing this here, we can just write it here. We can have more than one statements in the modification section. That means this section as well, separated with comma. Now you can see that the body of the for loop is empty. We don't have anything in the for loop, but by default what happens if we don't mention any curly brace, then what happens, this is going to be taken as the body of this for loop. Now we know that if we don't put anything within the curly braces, then only one statement by default comes under the for loop. So this statement will be taken by the compiler as the body of the for loop. So what I need to do is to terminate the for loop here with a semicolon, so that the compiler doesn't take this as the body of the for loop. So now everything is included within the for loop. The for loop is compact, it's smart. I'm just going with a dry run so that you can understand how this is working now. Say we need to find out the sum of first three natural numbers. So n is 3. Now here, for the very first time, the variable sum is initialized with 0 and I is right now 1. So after completing this section, it comes here. The condition is tested, 1 less than equals to 3, that is correct, true, and we don't have any body given here for the for loop. The semicolon is given here, so no body is mentioned. So what happens, it actually comes here if the condition is true in this section, because after completing the body, the control comes here. So in this case, since no body is mentioned, so the control will jump here in this section, and whatever we have mentioned here will be executed from left to right. So you can see that now when it comes here in this section, so sum equals to sum plus I, this will be executed. So value of sum is currently 0, so 0 plus I is 1, so the value of sum is now 1, and then the value of I is going to be incremented to 2. Now after completing this, it will come back to this testing section. 2 less than equals to 3, correct, again it will go here. Sum equals to sum, that means 1 right now, plus the value of I, that is 2, then I is going to be incremented by 1, so the value of I is 3. Again it comes back here, condition is tested, 3 less than equals to 3, again it goes here. Sum equals to sum, that means 3 plus the value of I, that is 3 right now, and then the value of I is incremented to 4. Now this time this condition is going to be false, so the for loop terminates and we come here. Here we print the result, that means the content of sum. Let me just execute the program. I'm giving say 20, so it's running fine. 100, 5050.